We just can't seem to get enough Halloween Horror Nights now, can we? With it being January, you would expect little to no information about this year's Halloween Horror Nights to be knowledge to the public. However, we have gotten some very key details for this year's Halloween Horror Nights event, and all throughout this video I'm going to tell you everything that I know so far about HHN 34. That includes the Horror Night Nightmares speculation map, along with taking a look at some of the recently filed permits for the Halloween Horror Nights houses, which actually have some code names attached to them, which may or may not have some kind of connection to whatever they're planning to put inside this location. And before diving into all this, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you that supported my last 2 videos. You guys are the reason I love to do this. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much, and I hope that I can continue to make content just like this for you guys to enjoy and love all the way to Halloween Horror Nights. But now, without further ado, let's step right into the very first thing on the docket, and that is the speculation map from Horror Nights Nightmares. And just by looking at this map, we can tell that it is not a full-on speculation map, meaning that not all 10 symbols or 10 images are on the screen. We have 6 different symbols with a holiday twist. That is because this is a Christmas preview of the Halloween Horror Nights speculation map, basically showing us that this is 0.5, not version 1 of the Horror Nights Nightmares speculation map. That doesn't change the fact that it's still a speculation map through and through, so we're going to go through it and figure out what is what. On this map, we're given 6 different symbols with that holiday twist like I stated prior, and those 6 symbols are a dove with 2 flowers, a rocking horse wearing a Santa hat, Santa's beard, a bookshelf with some toys on display, a ghost holding 5 lights while wearing a Santa hat, and a mystery gift. Now don't get me wrong, I wish I could sit here and automatically connect these symbols to properties, no issue, but it's really not that easy. The one thing I can say is that the multiple mystery gifts that are here just aren't known yet. We don't know if these are originals or IPs that haven't really been deciphered yet. But as for the other 5 symbols, the story might be slightly different. I'm going to use my own speculation that I released a few days ago to try to connect these symbols to IPs, as I believe these symbols are IPs and not originals. Up first, we have the dove and 2 flowers. For this one, I feel like it could very much be a connection to The Last of Us Part 2, with the 2 flowers not just representing the infected from the games, but also representing the 2 video games, and the dove representing new beginnings, essentially giving us a new look at a returning but new property to the event. Up next, we have the rocking horse, and based off of my speculation and trying to connect them together, I think this might just have to be The Conjuring, using the rocking horse to symbolize the rocking chair that you see in the very first film when the girl is sitting on the rocking chair with Annabelle on her lap. After the rocking horse, we have Santa's beard, and I would say, sticking to a Christmas theme with the map, I think this has to be a connection to Terrifier 3 and the Terrifier franchise as a whole. Essentially, the beard being a representation of Art the Clown when he dons the beard and terrorizes people in the mall in that film. Safe to say that I think Terrifier is the choice for the Santa beard. Going from the beard to the shelf with toys, I honestly think it's another one that might be a safe option here as well, as the toys on the shelves are a doll, a bunny, dice with the number 6, and ABC blocks. My gut instinct is telling me to go with Megan here due to the fact that 1, there's a doll on display here, and 2, it kind of looks reminiscent of the scene in Megan when Katie meets Megan at Funky for the very first time, and we see them bond, which we know leads to Megan becoming very protective of Katie and doing anything, and I mean anything, to protect her. And finally, the ghost with the lights has to be none other than our ghost host with the most, Beetlejuice. And I think that's quite self-explanatory, as this is the only ghostly symbol here that could represent the Juice Man himself. Now, I could be 100% wrong here, and every single symbol here can be something else, or it could be an original, who knows, but honestly, I was just focusing on my own speculation. What do you guys think these symbols represent? Let me know in the comments down below. But now let's shift gears and talk about the permits that were recently filed for this year's Halloween Horror Nights event. These permits not only gave us code names for the houses, but also confirmed their locations. And I made things a little bit easier for us by creating a map that showcases the code names along with the locations all together. But do not worry, you don't have to squint at this map to try to find everything. We're gonna go location by location so that you can know where everything is located for this year's event. And now, if you're wondering how I got this information, how I found these permits, I'll tell you, I won't gatekeep it. All the information is actually public knowledge and anyone can search it up online. The website is permitlookup.cityoforlando.net. Once you're on this screen, you're going to search via project name, and the common thing found on all of the projects for for Universal is GC Services. Once you search that up, you will see quite a few permits for the last couple of years of Halloween Horror Nights. Once you arrive to the permits that begin with BLD 2025, you're in the right spot. And now that we all know how to access the public permits by the city of Orlando, let's talk about the code names and house locations. The code names for this year's event are different types of flowers. Now these can mean something, or they could just be placeholders for these house locations in general. But one thing is for certain, if these code names are anything like last year's code names, well, we might be having the possibility of searching for flowers hidden amongst all the houses. But nonetheless, I'm going to list off these locations by telling you what the location is, what was there prior, and what the code name is for this location as well. The first location being Soundstage 23A, which was Monstros the Monsters of Latin America at Halloween Horror Nights last year. And the code name for this house is Snapdragon. Up next we have Soundstage 22, which was A Quiet Place at HHN last year, and the code name for this one is Poppy. Following that up, we have Soundstage 23B, which was Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and I really hope whatever goes into this location in general is just as good as that was, and the code name for this house is Violet. Next to that we have Soundstage 24B, which was Insidious the Further last year. The code name for this house is Lily, and our final soundstage, that is one that hasn't been used since HHN 29 for Stranger Things 2, and that would be Soundstage 25, which has housed some pretty large scale houses in the past, like The Walking Dead in 2014 and Poltergeist in 2018. So this will be a soundstage that we need to keep an eye on, and the code name for this one is Poinsettia. Now moving away from the sound stages and going to the tents, we have the Fast and Furious queue, which was Major Sweet's Candy Factory at last year's Halloween Horror Nights. It utilized a completely different style than what we're used to seeing in this exact location, essentially having the entire house take place in the Fast and Furious extended queue, which I believe worked fantastically and they should keep doing it. But enough about the past. This year, the code name for this location is Jasmine. Going to the two new tents in the back of the park, which I think were a great addition to the event overall, and the only complaint I have about them is that they're not covered, meaning that when it rains, you're stuck in those long queues with no coverage at all. But nonetheless, the first of those two tents are Tent 3, which last year was Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, and the code name for this location is Daisy. And the location directly besides that is Tent 4, which was Goblin's Feast at last year's event as well, which was beloved by many, and the code name for this location is Tulip. And now onto our final two locations, we have the beloved original Sprung tents. Starting with Tent 2, which last year was Slaughter Cinema 2, the code name for this location is Iris, and then finally in Tent 1, which was Museum Deadly Unrest last year, the code name for this location is Carnation. Now that we have all of our locations and code names, it's going to be a fun time trying to figure out what everything means and what might be located where. Or maybe these flowers are honestly just red herrings and they're just random names that the team selected just to throw us on a wild goose hunt to try to speculate on what's coming to this year's event. But what if they are not red herrings and they're honestly something that might connect to something? Then maybe, just maybe, Art the Clown's glasses do look like daisies, and one of Beetlejuice's main colors is purple, and violet is a tone of purple. But we could honestly sit here forever trying to decipher what each and every flowers means, but I honestly feel like that'll leave me pulling all of my hair out. And I feel like it'll be better to discuss that with you guys in the comments. So comment down below what you think the flowers mean and what you would connect them to. And there we have it, 10 houses, 10 locations. But the one question that lingers over my head, will Soundstage 24A get used? This is the soundstage that was home to Triplets of Terror last year and has been utilized for Halloween Horror Nights for the past few years now. Could this half of the soundstage be sitting dormant and not be used at all? Or are we going to see an 11th or even a 12th house this year maybe? But where would that 12th location be if we were to have one? We're most likely looking at the former Shrek Theater, also known as Villaingon, which was last used at HHN 30 for Case Files Unearthed. Truthfully, who knows, but it feels weird to know that Soundstage 24A might just sit completely unused this year. It feels very weird and very unlike them, so that's why I think this might be our 11th location, with the possible 12th being in VillainCon, allowing there to be something everywhere at this year's event, as I feel like that was a major complaint from multiple people. But hey, this is just the beginning of speculation season, meaning that we have so much that will arise in the coming months, and if you weren't excited already, prepare for that to change, as Mike Aiello has confirmed confirmed via X.com or Twitter, whatever you call it, that social media app, that construction has officially started on Halloween Horror Nights 34. He put this up with a gif of flowers dying, so it's kind of funny, him acknowledging all the flowers. But nonetheless, I'm beyond excited to dive into all of this with you guys this year. I think this year's Halloween Horror Nights will be a major step in the right direction for the event overall and could possibly be an all-timer. But for now, we have to sit and wait for more information to be released on the event, as the only thing that we officially know from Universal is that the event will take place starting in August and ending in November. So essentially, we're waiting on certain things like event dates, single night tickets, and potentially that first house announcement. But that's all the information that we have for now. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below what you think about the code names and what they can be linked to. Subscribe if you guys already haven't done so, and stay excellent, my dudes.